Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin with the video. Let us discuss the removal of Kinect from the perspective of developers. Harmonix have recently had a short interview with Polygon, and during which they discussed their thoughts and opinions of Microsoft removing bundling Kinect as like a mandatory accessory, so in other words releasing the Kinectless SKU. Now you might recall previously some developers appeared fairly pissed when they were discussing this on Twitter. And there were some really sarcastic responses. However, Harmonix, the music system's co-founder, his name is Alex Rigopoulos, disputed this. He said it actually wasn't a surprise to us. We've worked with Microsoft for years, so it wasn't like we read the news headlines and it was a shock. Our interest in bringing Dance Central to the Xbox One is in no way predicated on a Kinect bundled in every single box. And out of quote for a second, this particular next part is actually quite strange, because he basically went on to say that he believes that if a game is good enough, the peripheral, Kinect, will basically make its way into the hands of gamers. Indeed, his exact quote was, "We think people who want to play Dance Central or Fantasia will want to find a way to get a Kinect. It's worth pointing out, even if you're a consumer motivated by the prospect of Dance Central, it's not just, I have to buy this peripheral. There are a lot of value above and beyond any one game. From my point of view, if we are doing our jobs of creating compelling motion gaming." End quote. And to be fair to the guy, he's been really professional about this. He's not throwing his toys out of the pram, so to speak. But at the same time, I do understand the frustration from the perspective of developers. As I've mentioned in previous videos, the fact of the matter is, it's like, imagine you'd worked on the notion that you knew that the hardware to run your game was going to be on every single unit sold on the platform that you were targeting. So in other words, it was almost like you were targeting like this minimum specification. And then you got told as you were approaching launch, yeah, by the way, not so much. And in fact, it even would appear that, I'll read once again, we've worked with Microsoft for years, so it wasn't like we read the news headlines and it was a shock. So once again, it didn't seem, from what they're saying, it doesn't seem like they heard directly from Microsoft, which I don't necessarily agree with. But here's the fact of the matter, the bottom line, and I think developers really are thinking about this, and this is why I think Harmonix don't actually mind too much. They look at it this way: more people are going to end up with an Xbox One, therefore the Kinect seems to be more appealing, right? If you've got the system, a lot of people are just going to plonk down the 100 or whatever the Kinect is in your particular region, and they're going to say, well, I've already got the Xbox, I might as well get the Kinect experience, especially if a lot of Microsoft's larger games, so-called AAAs, also support it. Additionally, if a game is good enough, if a game merits your interest, people will cough up and get it. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. We all know that person who insanely upgraded their PC. We all know the person who bought ridiculously expensive, Triton or their brand of choice headphones, all because they wanted to better enjoy a game. So I think in that respect, he is definitely right. I did mention in my analysis of the E3 conference from Microsoft that I was actually quite amazed they didn't push Kinect at all. I expected them to at least mention it in passing, and maybe I missed this part. I'm not saying they didn't say the word Kinect at all, but I certainly didn't see it or hear about it. Maybe, if I'm wrong, please let me know. I'd be interested to hear what part they mentioned it, but they didn't really seem to. Like, during the main conference itself, there was, Halo being shown, which looked pretty damn awesome, if I'm totally honest. There was Fable, which kind of exciting. I'm unsure about the multiplayer element, but it actually looks kind of cool. Forza and all these other games, but they definitely were staying completely and utterly clear of the whole TV side of things, which is kind of ironic since Sony actually pushed it a little bit, the TV side of things this time. I guess they kind of felt that they could. They've got a bit of leverage there to play with. And instead, Microsoft were pushing the system firmly as a gaming system, and it was almost like, in actually a lot of their media, a lot of their images, they didn't even show the Kinect. They just showed the console with the joypad. I've mentioned I personally believe that Microsoft did the best they could for the system. I think they made the best decision they could possibly have made. It's also a good thing in some respects, because now they're making Kinect more optional. As I've mentioned, and as the news, it's alleviating some of that performance, that requirement for developers. So that basically developers who are not interested in Kinect games. So for example, if Ed Boon, while he's making the next Mortal Kombat MK10, he decides, you know what, we're never using Kinect. It's not like Kinect is going to help us. We want this extra, graphical fidelity. You can go ahead and do that. He's got 10% more pixel pushing power, 10% more memory bandwidth to utilize as he sees fit, which, to be honest, makes more sense. But I think it's quite refreshing to actually hear from Harmonix in this respect. And I fully support them, and I wish them the best of luck in their sales figures. Anyway, guys, in case you're wondering why I've been a bit quiet, I'm not ready to unveil everything, but there's some changes that I'm making to RGT in the background, and there's an absolutely ridiculously ludicrous article that I'm putting together. And when I say I've got 5,000 words so far, with a ludicrous amount of graphs, screenshots, images and stuff, I kid you not. It's going to be really, really cool, and I'm hoping it will serve as a compendium in your knowledge. But on a serious note, I think it should be pretty cool. Also, before I forget, please don't forget to check out the Bitdefender video if you're interested in either winning a free copy of an antivirus, pretty damn good antivirus, or you just want to know more about security. I point this out because there is a competition running that will close near the end of this month. And since there's 5 copies of the bloody thing to actually be won, thanks to the fact that Bitdefender were like, oh, how many copies do we, we're giving you guys an interview if you want, and then I was like, cool. And then they were like, oh, would you like us to give away some stuff, kind of, because, and I was like, yeah, okay, you can give away a code or two, and they're like, there you go, we're going to be giving 5, so I was like, okay, sweet. So, I would recommend you guys check that out. Anyway, I'm going to get going. It's really late here, and I've been doing nothing but writing, E3, and everything else, so IR want to relaxisms. So take care, guys, have a good one, bye for now.